My son graduated with honors in May 2018 with a degree in BS neuroscience and math. He's deciding if going to medical school and becoming a doctor is for him. He's been working for months at a good hospital as a medical scribe to get a sense of what the day-to-day work life of medicine is like. That's good. You should do that. After speaking with dozens of attendings and residents, he says that he is disinclined to go to medical school because of the costs. The doctors constantly complain of the debt load they have and the uncertainty of the future of the medical system to provide the income needed to both pay it off and make a good living. We discussed several ways to fund medical education. One is the military route you did, but I'm not sure of them. My son is smart, has interpersonal and empathy skills, are off the charts, and he's a problem solver who loves to research and find answers. He would make an excellent physician. He admitted that if he wasn't intimidated by the financial debt, he would seriously consider it. Note he has little undergraduate debt, only $15,000 due to our funding his degree, his scholarships, and him working through school. I'd appreciate any perspective you or others can share on the value of becoming a doctor today for the investment and ways to pay for his education. Well, number one, I think medicine is still a good deal. And I'm comparing that to some things that I don't think are a very good deal, like veterinary school. It's not a good deal. I'm sorry. It costs too much for what vets get paid. Something like law right now, you're not even sure you're going to have a job. You rack up $150,000, $200,000 in debt, and maybe you can't even get a job. And if you do, it probably pays $50,000. That's not a good bet. You've really taken a chance when you go to school and borrow to pay for it for programs like that. But medicine, yeah, the average doc with the average medical school debt burden is still fine. Yes, she has to live like a resident for a couple of years after residency in order to pay that stuff off, but it's totally doable with appropriate financial planning. Now, some docs that are at the lower end of the income spectrum and the higher end of the debt spectrum are going to be in trouble, right? If you're, and I hate to use pediatrician again because I get hate mail every time I say pediatrician. So I'm going to say family practitioner today who's making $150,000 and you owe $650,000 in student loans, you've got a very tough row to hoe, okay? That might not work out well. But on the opposite side of the spectrum is someone who owes $75,000 and is an orthopedist, a back surgeon, and is just killing it. And so there's people like that all across the spectrum of medicine. And as long as you don't end up at the wrong end there, income and debt-wise, I think you're still okay going to medical school. That said, if, a good paying job is your main motivation of medicine, there's a lot better ways to make a lot of money with a lot less effort. All right. The only other question was how to pay for it. Well, it doesn't sound like Dad's going to be paying. So I think he's going to be on his own. So that means either sign a contract with somebody like the U.S. military, or it means to borrow the money. And for most of us, we borrow the money. I happened to sign 4 years of my life away with Uncle Sam. And that worked out okay for me because I wanted to spend some time in the military. I actually ended up coming out financially behind, though. And so my recommendation is always go into the military because you want to be a military doc. I knew a lot of docs who did it for the money in the military and they weren't happy. So please don't join the military unless you want to be a military doc. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dahl, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.